We are in Exodus. Are you ready? This has been so fun. I am ready to get into the next book of the Bible that we get to do. We have finished Luke, we have finished Acts, we have finished Genesis, and here we are starting on our fourth book. Hi, I'm Heather, and we are at the feet of Jesus, where we are going through the entire Bible, one book at a time. And here we go, we can say it together. And we are in the book of Exodus. I'm so excited. Here is the workbook that we're working with. You still have time to pick it up. It's on Amazon. It's $9.95. It'll get to you super quick, and then you can read through chapters 1 and 2 for next week when we do that in more detail. Today, we are going to go over an overview of the book of Exodus. And so here we go. Are you ready? So Exodus is the second book of the Bible, and it picks up right where we left off in the book of Genesis. In Genesis, we met three men who we consider now three of the fathers of the faith: Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So Genesis ends with Joseph, Jacob's 11th son, saving his family, and in fact the whole known world at the time, from famine. And so that Pharaoh is so pleased with how Joseph has handled everything that he puts him in second in command and invites Joseph's father and entire family to live in Egypt as a safe haven. So eventually, Jacob, Joseph, and all of the brothers die in Egypt. 400 years pass, and the story of Exodus begins. So the book of Exodus is divided into two parts. Chapters 1 through 18 is the first half. It's the first part. The name of the entire book corresponds to the event that happens in that first half: Israel's exodus from Egypt. So, chapters 1 through 4 occur when, after those 400 years in Egypt, the Israelites have done exactly what they were supposed to do, and they were fruitful, and they multiplied, and they filled the land. So the new Pharaoh is so threatened by this ever-growing group of people, the Israelites, that he brutally enslaves them and tries to destroy God's blessing, which is the lineage of Abraham. So Pharaoh goes as far as to rule that all the firstborn Israelite boys need to be drowned in the Nile River. Pharaoh has so turned everything topsy-turvy and upside down that killing innocent children to him is considered good. And his kingdom is now comparable to Babylon back in Genesis that we studied in good detail. The people pray for God's help, and God responds after 400 years of kind of a silence. So God first starts working when a Hebrew mother, instead of drowning her child as Pharaoh has told her she needs to, she puts him in a basket, puts him in the Nile River, and that baby floats right down the river to the loving arms of Pharaoh's own daughter. So Moses grows up in the palace, but will be used by God to defeat Pharaoh's evil and save God's people. Moses goes into the wilderness as a grown adult and experiences that famous burning bush scene. So God tells a reluctant Moses to go back to Pharaoh to release his people. He tells Moses that Pharaoh will resist, and he will bring plagues to Egypt and harden Pharaoh's heart. So then we are in chapters 5 through 15. So this is the confrontation between God and Pharaoh. So what does it mean that God hardened Pharaoh's heart? When we get to these chapters, 5 through 15, we are going to slowly and methodically unpack this. In Moses and Pharaoh's first encounter, we simply see that Pharaoh's heart grew hard. We don't see that God did anything. Then God sends the first of 5 plagues. The first 5 plagues. After each one, Moses offers Pharaoh a chance to make things right. And after each one, it says that Pharaoh hardened his heart. Do you hear that? That Pharaoh hardened his heart. Or sometimes it says that his heart grew hard. Pharaoh is doing this on his own volition. Pharaoh is doing this to himself. In the second of 5 plagues, though, we hear that God hardened Pharaoh's heart. So even though God knew that Pharaoh would resist, God gave Pharaoh, an opportunity to do the right thing. He gave him the opportunity to come humbly and do the right thing and repent for what he was doing. Whew. So once Pharaoh's evil is past the point of no return, though, God uses that evil, Pharaoh's evil, for God's own purposes, and he lures Pharaoh into his own destruction. Whew. The final plague is the night of Passover. And just like Pharaoh killed the firstborn of sons of the Israelites, God now is going to kill the firstborn sons of Egypt. But unlike Pharaoh, God provides a means of escape. So the Israelites were instructed in detail to kill a spotless lamb and paint its blood on the doorposts of the house. Anyone who would do this would have that death passed over. So anybody who had the blood of the lamb on his doorposts would be safe. This is a direct correlation. Oh, it's so interesting, to the very last Passover that was celebrated by Jesus and his disciples at the Last Supper before his crucifixion. At that dinner, Jesus turned that Passover meal that had been celebrated for centuries on its head. And I just love this. Although the disciples didn't understand at the time, Jesus explains that he was going to be the Passover lamb from here forward, that his blood was going to save his people from death, and all anyone had to do was believe in him and profess the truth of what Jesus did for humanity. He gave his disciples a symbol that we are still able to remember him by today. We can remember this Passover meal, the Last Supper, through communion. So when we are drinking wine and taking bread, that blood of the ultimate lamb that was slain for us is inside of us. We get a spiritual transfusion with that blood. And I just love that. So back now to Exodus. With that first Passover, Pharaoh's own son dies and he lets the Israelites go. He's like, get out of here. So no sooner does he say that, though, that Pharaoh changes his mind altogether and he chases after them. They get to the Red Sea. The Red Sea opens up for the Israelites and closes in on Pharaoh's men. So that first half of Exodus ends with the Hebrew people. It ends with a beautiful piece of Hebrew poetry called The Sons of the Sea. And it's beautiful. When we get to that, we will really unpack it. We kind of saw another piece of Hebrew poetry as we ended in Genesis. And so here, when we end the first half of Exodus, we get to see some again. So chapters 16 through 18, right at the very tail end of the first half of the book of Exodus. This is the time of wandering in the wilderness, and the Israelites really start to grumble about food. They grumble about their conditions. They just start to complain and grumble. God, in his mercy and his grace, supplies everything they need, but the grumbling continues as far as them wanting to go back to Egypt. It's kind of crazy. So then we have the second half. The second half is chapters 19 through 40. So that first part of this is chapters 19 through 24. In that, Moses leads the people to Mount Sinai, where God invites them to join a covenant relationship with him, and they eagerly agree. So God's presence appears on the top of Mount Sinai with clouds and thunder. And Moses goes up to the top of Mount Sinai and meets with God, getting the basic terms of that covenant, the famous 10 Commandments. So Moses comes down from Mount Sinai and interacts with the people, but then there are 52 more commands that fill in the basic 10 in more detail. The people agree with all of the commands, and so God takes the relationship between the Israelites and himself to the next level. And this is where God asks the Israelites to build. He asks Moses and tells Moses all about the building of a sanctuary for him to dwell. And remember that because of because of Adam's sin, way back at the beginning of Genesis, God's presence was lost. And now, through the family of Abraham, God's presence can be restored through this sanctuary. So, chapters 25 through 31 go into more detailed architectural blueprints kind of for that sanctuary, and it's going to be called the tabernacle. Every piece, every detail of that tabernacle has a purpose and has symbolism that will be important for us to unpack when we get there. So this tabernacle ends up being like a portable Garden of Eden. And it's something that the Israelites can really enjoy, and they can enjoy a life with God and with the presence of God. I mean, I can just picture this portable Garden of Eden. But then something terribly goes wrong. And then we get to chapters 32 through 34. Israel breaks the covenant. As Moses is on the top of Mount Sinai, receiving the blueprints for the tabernacle, the Israelites are losing patience and ask Aaron and Aaron, by the way, is Moses' brother, to make a golden calf for them to worship. Aaron does so, and God knows what is happening down below on the ground. And an interesting conversation between God and Moses starts taking place. God presents the idea of just wiping out the Israelites, and Moses pleads for them. Moses appeals to God's character. And it's a beautiful thing where Moses just tells God all about who Moses really feels God is. So through this interaction, God relents. And he does bring justice to those people who instigate the breaking of the covenant, but he forgives the nation of Israel as a whole. So it is right here that God describes his own character. And that is one of my favorite verses in scripture, is where God talks about his very own character. So amazing. So then we have the very end of the book of Exodus. It's chapters 35 through 40. And after renewing his covenant with Israel, he goes ahead and tells Moses to build this tabernacle. And these 5 chapters go into great detail of the construction of the tabernacle. The entire book ends with the tabernacle being finished and the presence of God hovers over the tabernacle, the tent, the inner tent of the tabernacle. I can just picture Moses being so excited and so ready. And Moses tries to walk in and he's prevented. He cannot come in. The interaction between the people and God has been so damaged that the book of Exodus ends with a question. It ends with a question of how is God going to reconcile his justice and mercy with a people who have damaged this relationship with God? The answer is in the next book of scripture. But here we are in Exodus, and it is going to really help us see where we've been through the book of Genesis, how the story of God and his character and what he's going to do and the Israelites and his people, it's really going to help us see the beginnings of our faith. So again, please consider picking up this book from Amazon and getting started. After this, you are charged to go. Go to Exodus, read books 1 and 2, do the first week in your workbook and get going. It should be a lot of fun. I will be here next week and we will talk about Exodus 1 and 2, and I will go into more detail in a certain highlighted section of the scripture. And then I will tell you what's next in line for me. Actually, I will give you a hint now. I am about to go on a mission trip, my first mission trip since COVID has begun, and I'm very, very excited. I'm going to get to go to Central America, deep into Central America, closer to South America, and I'm very, very excited, and if you will pray for me as I go there. If you are looking for a Mother's Day present, my daughter and I together have put together a hardback journal, and it's called Blessings. I am so excited. Next week, I will give you a means of purchasing this book. It's, I believe, $20.99. It's a journal that talks about how to pray, why we pray, and then it has these awesome little pages, 365 pages, so that we can all learn how to worship God, how to understand God, and how to see the blessings in our life that God gives us every day. And sometimes we just get callous to what this world is. And sometimes we just need to see the blessings of God. So, my friends, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. And thank you for listening to this awesome charge for the book of Exodus. I'm really excited to get into this. And we will see you all next week when we get started in chapters 1 and 2. Bye, my friends. God's got this. Mwah.